Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, I got a little fix-it project I want to do, and this may actually take a couple days. This has been something I've been kind of thinking about for a few months. I knew it needed to happen, and we're kind of getting to the point where I'm ready to start painting this room, which is the master bedroom. And but before I do that, I knew that there was kind of an intermediate level project that I needed to do, and let me show you what that is, because that's going to be our project for today. When I purchased this house, it came with this bedroom set, this furniture set on one of the walls, and I kind of requested that they leave it behind, and they did. And I've kind of turned it into like a bookshelf and kind of display shelf, and it's also kind of been acting as like my dresser and stuff like that ever since I moved in. And it looks pretty nice, but the truth is, this is a lot like that shelving unit out in the kitchen. It's made by IKEA, and if you remember IKEA is just kind of, it's a Swedish company in America that sells cheap particle board furniture, and the truth is, it's kind of flimsy, and I want to do some things to try and shore it up. One of the things I've noticed is that the back piece here isn't very well attached, and so what I want to do is I want to take all three of these pieces out of here, take them apart, and I'm going to connect them a little better. One of the problems you come into with these IKEA pieces is the pieces aren't really secured together very well. Generally there's like wooden dowels that you jam into the holes and you push the pieces together, which means they have a tendency to come apart over time. I'm going to do something better on these. What I want to do is I want to replace the back on every one of them with something a little bit more substantial, and I'm going to screw it into the back and I'm going to glue it. So that should make the thing a lot more stiff, and then I'm going to take all of the pieces that are just pushed together with dowel pins and the likes, and we're going to glue and screw them also. And that's going to take a little time, and I think first thing I got to do is I got to go over to Home Depot and get some MDF. MDF is a manufactured kind of wood substitute. It's a little bit smoother than like particle board, but it paints really smooth, and you can paint it really well, and it's strong. And if I get like a 3/4 inch or a 1/4 inch piece of it, I ought to be able to replace the backing on each of these pieces, and that should do wonders to securing this up and making it more sturdy, and basically making it so I can move it out of here without it falling apart. So let's go to Home Depot and get a couple of pieces of MDF, and then we'll come back and start working on this. Alright, I'm back from Home Depot, and actually after looking at the price of MDF, I elected to go a simpler route. MDF, like all lumber, is just off the clock price-wise right now, so I just decided to go with the materials that are already there. I think they'll be fine. I'll just glue them and screw them, and that should solve my problem. It'll also simplify the project significantly, because if I buy MDF, I'm going to have to cut it to size, I'm going to have to paint it. Those are all outdoor things, and frankly it's 100 degrees out right now. I don't want to do that. So what I've done is I bought a nice bottle of Gorilla Glue. I like working with that. That's a really good quality wood glue. I bought some 2-inch long truss screws, which will be good for screwing everything together. And I also bought some of the new shelf support brackets. And I'll show you why that is in a minute. The ones that are in the shelves are really poor quality, and in fact, when I was loading books in it the first time when I first moved in, they were such poor quality the shelves were actually falling off the bracket. So I just decided at the point I'm just going to replace those, and these are better quality and they'll hold the shelves better, and in combination with all the rest of this we're going to do, this will help a lot to make the shelves a little bit more sturdy. So first thing I got to do now is I got to take these shelves, take everything out of the shelves, and I'm actually going to just work on this in the living room. It's nice and cool in here, there's plenty of space in there, and I won't have to be sitting and baking in the garage anymore. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to unload the first shelf and move it out into the living room. Alright, so I got the first shelf unloaded and moved out, and yeah, it's obvious how poorly constructed these things are. These back pieces are just held on by these tiny little screws here, so it's no wonder the thing is flimsy. And yeah, so that's what's going on there. And then of course these pieces are held together. These are cheap little basically you put a dowel in there, you twist this thing, it locks it into place, and that's the only thing that's basically holding the top on. So I'm going to disconnect this. We're going to take this thing all apart, and like I said, we're going to glue it and screw it, and it'll be nice and secure then. We'll have to maybe figure out something to secure this up here, because there's basically nothing that's holding these in place here, as far as I can tell. I don't know. We'll get a better look at it when we get everything off of it and look inside and see how it's all built. But yeah, this thing's just junk. But it's okay. We'll make it better. We'll make it a lot better. So I've removed all the shelves also, just to kind of get everything out of here. And this is what I meant. This is what they had hanging the shelves on the wall, or on the sides of this thing, is just these little protrusions here. These are the things that I actually bought. And fortunately, they're the perfect size. They're the same size hole. So I'll be able to put the new shelves on here, and this will work better because, I mean, this sticks out way further. You can see, you know, I kept having problems. I put something on the shelf and the thing would flex and the shelf would fall off the bracket in there. So when I get these in here, that will never happen. And one of the beauties is, if I really am serious about it, they have holes in the bottom of these. I could actually screw the shelf onto the bracket and then it'll never come out. So I don't think we're going to have to go that far, but you can see the advantage that's going to come with the new hangers versus the old one. You know, we're just upgrading this thing. We're going to turn this into something that'll actually work. Alright, so I've taken this thing mostly apart, at least as far apart as I'm going to take it. I've taken the top off of it. I've taken the doors off the front. I've taken the back pieces off. Took off the old the shelf brackets. I've taped the doors closed on the bottom. I'm not going to do anything with the bottom end of this, except I took the doorknob or the knobs off the front. But basically, this is how the thing works. See, the backs kind of slide into this groove here, and then they're attached with these little brackets to here, here, and here, and also across the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue in here. Going to drive the wood back into there again, and there's the dowel on the top. So I want to put the piece on the top, and we're going to glue that into place, and then drive the screws back in. And hopefully when we get this thing all back together, it should work a lot better. So also, these are the dowels that hold the kind of side pieces. There's a little piece that goes across here and another one that goes across the front. So I'm going to glue those back into place, and then we'll just kind of let this thing sit overnight and stiffen up, and hopefully it will be a lot better shape than it is now. Because like I said, this thing comes apart way too easy, and when it comes apart easy, it's going to come apart accidentally easily too. So we'll get going on this, get it back together, and go from there. Alright, some time has passed. I've reattached the lid, I've reattached the frame pieces in the front and the back. We've glued them into place. They're screwed. I've got the 2-inch screws going all the way through here, every about 3 inches. And I'll tell you already, while I'm still waiting for the glue to set up and I got my clamps in place, this thing is already 1,000 times more sturdy. So once we get the back pieces on, this thing is going to last forever. So we're going to let this thing dry for a little bit, then we'll reattach the back pieces and we'll go from there. And that sounds like Mom's on the phone, so I'll catch up with you in a little bit. Alright, some time has passed. I'm pretty confident that the framework pieces have had adequate time to dry. The Gorilla Glue seems to seal up pretty well in about an hour. So it's been a little bit more than that. I laid the thing down on its side and I'm beginning to reattach the back pieces. Basically what I did is I laid it on one side, kind of squirted glue into the seal there, and then laid it on its front the way it is now, put glue on the seam here, and set the one piece in its place, and use the clamps to kind of hold it in place, and let that dry and set for a while. And then I did the same thing on the other side. So we're letting this side set, and at this point it's still loose down here, but what I'll do is once I get these two pieces set in here and get to the point where I'm ready to put this piece on, then I'll kind of pull that up a little bit, put glue on there, put some glue and screw that, and do the kind of the same thing that we did here. to get this all sealed in. And so we'll catch up with that in a little bit. But so far I think this is coming along really well. I only kind of had half a day to work on this, so if this one works and looks well by the end of the evening, we will bring the other two out tomorrow and do them. So I think this is going to turn out really well. Definitely the thing is a lot more stiff and a lot more rigid now than it was, because you know it's glued together now. It's not going anywhere. And like I said, I drove 2-inch screws into the top. You look at all the screws I put into the top of this thing here. You know, this is an original screw, this is an original screw, this is an original screw, that's an original screw, that there is an original screw, and there's 2 of them over there. All the rest of those are the ones I drove in. So combination of the real strong Gorilla Glue, which I mean I'm a huge fan of that, I've used that for many years, and the 2-inch screws about every 3 inches on this thing. This thing's never coming apart. So I'm going to give this a little time to dry, and we'll catch up with you then. Now if you're watching the live stream today, you'll notice that I mentioned on the live stream that I had seen Jordan had done a video about a week ago where he put these cool little underwater lights in his swimming pool to light them up, and I thought that was kind of a cool idea. And so I found the same thing on Amazon and ordered a copy of it, and I mentioned it on the live stream today. Well, Jordan sent me a text a little bit ago saying that he actually ended up returning the lights that he had because, well, for 2 reasons really. First off, he was using suction cups to hold on to the side of the pool, and he said they didn't hold on very well. And I kind of replied back to him, well, that's not that big of a deal because the side of my pool's is metal, and so I was planning to use the magnets to attach. But he also mentioned that the lights leak a little bit, and that is of concern to me. Now he actually sent me a link to what he said is a better product, but we're going to see what happens. I've got him in here, and when I heard about his issues, I just kind of twisted them closed a little bit. They kind of unscrew so that you can put the batteries in them, and there is an O-ring in there. And I figured, okay, well, we're going to try them out, see what happens. You know, maybe if I just twist them closed really tight, the O-ring will seal properly and it won't leak. So we're going to play that by ear, but it's very possible we may end up replacing these. But in the very least, I want to see what they look like under the water here. I've got them in, I've got them running. Jordan's actually said it took about 3 weeks for the problem to actually show up. So I don't know, we'll kind of keep an eye on this, but we may end up replacing these. All right, a little time has passed now, and the glue has set up on the top half of the cabinet. Now I just got to attach the back to the bottom half. Like I said, it was in 2 parts, and there's actually going to be a couple phases to this. This little piece here kind of overlaps this wood here. This is a shelf that kind of goes between the, here, I'll show you. You have to kind of use your imagination. There's drawers down here, and then the shelves with the glass doors up here. Well, the back piece here overlaps this shelf a little bit, as you can see right here, and then it also overlaps the bottom piece. So I didn't put glue here because I didn't want to have glue sticking out and interfering with the way the bottom pieces went in. So I figured I'd glue that at the end. So we're going to do that. We also have a little overlap here where we're going to put some glue on here and seal that down. Now, as it turns out, there's also these little pieces of wood right here that are flush with the grooves that the wood slides into. So what I've done is I've marked where they are on the tape, and once I get the back pieces on there, I'm going to drive some screws into here too, and that'll just add a little bit more strength and a little bit more stability. So I'm going to start with the bottom piece. Like I said, what I've been doing is squirting the glue into the groove here, and then like I said, I'll put the glue, I'll lay the thing on its front. I'll put glue here, and then put the side pieces into place, let them set up, screw them into place in those places at the bottom there, and once that gets a chance to set up, we'll be done for today. So I'll catch up with you in a few minutes and show you what that looks like. Alright, we got the thing back together. I got the doors back on. I had to adjust the doors a little bit. They weren't quite hanging quite right, and they were kind of binding up a little bit in the middle and dragging a little bit on the bottom. But you can adjust the hinges and raise the door up a little bit, and it looks like it's working pretty well right now. And of course I got the backs back on. Everything's, like I said, glued into place now. I got lots and lots and lots of screws holding this thing together, and this thing's going to be a lot better shape now. I'm going to move it back into the bedroom, and we'll reinstall the shelves. They just kind of sit on the brackets, and I'll kind of decide how I want those shelves to be. But there we go. There's the finished product. So that's one down, 2 more to go. Come back on my next video, and we'll probably get the next 2 done. I got most of the day tomorrow to work on that, so should be able to get them both done in one day. So come back next time and we'll continue this. And until then, I think that's all that I have for today. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.